So I like the model of life that the ancients had, the Greeks, the Romans, right, where you would start out and when you're young, you're just like going to school, then you're going to war, then you're running a business, then you're supposed to serve in the Senate or the government, then you become a philosopher. There's sort of this arc to life where you try your hand at everything. And as one of my friends says, specialization is for insects, right? So everyone should just be able to do everything. And so I don't believe in this model anymore of trying to focus your life down on one thing. You've got one life. Just do everything you're going to do.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that sometimes people find certain success in whatever the endeavor is, and then they think that that is their niche, and they stick with it, and they never change, and they almost out of fear.
Well, it's hard because there's the analogy around mountain climbing. Like if you find a mountain and you start climbing and you spend your whole life climbing it and you get, say, 2/3 of the way, and then you see the peak is like way up there, but you're 2/3 of the way up. You're still really high up. But now to go the rest of the way, you're going to have to go back down to the bottom and look for another path. Nobody wants to do that. People don't want to start over.
Yeah.
And it's the nature of later in life that you just don't have the time. So it's very painful to go back down and look for a new path, but that may be the best thing to do. And that's why when you look at the greatest artists and creators, they have this ability to start over that nobody else does. Like Elon will, be called an idiot and start over doing something brand new that he supposedly is not qualified for. Or when Madonna or Paul Simon or U2 come out with a new album, their existing fans usually hate it because they've adopted a completely new style that they've learned somewhere else.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll just miss completely. So you have to be willing to be a fool and kind of have that beginner's mind and go back to the beginning to start over. And if you're not doing that, you're just getting older.
I mean, I don't even know if it's willing to be a fool. It's just, to me, that the most exciting thing is to try to get better at something, to learn at things. I mean, it's really exciting when you just have incremental progress in something that you're completely new to.
Yeah, I live for the aha moment, that moment when you connect two things together that you hadn't connected together before, and it fits nicely and solidly, and it kind of helps form a steel framework of understanding in your mind that you can then hang other ideas off of. That's what I live for.
You do that one very small podcast where you just have small, like 3 or 4 minute clips.
Yeah, so what it was, I did a tweet storm called How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky, and it got pretty popular on Twitter. And it's really about wealth creation. I just used the clickbaity title. And it's trying to basically lay out timeless principles of wealth creation that if you absorb them, you become the kind of person who can create wealth, create business, make money. And my theory behind that is like there are 3 things everybody wants. There's actually more than 3, but let's just start with 3, the 3 basics. Everybody wants to be wealthy. Everybody wants to be happy, and everybody wants to be fit. And I know there's a lot of virtue signaling that goes on, like we don't want money and, I don't care about being happy and happiness is for stupid people. But let's face it, like you want to be rich and happy and healthy.
Yeah.
Like that's the trifecta. Now, of course, you also want an internally calm state of mind. You want a loving household. So there are other things that come into it. But those 3, I think they can actually be taught. Right? And a fitness, I'm not going to teach. There are a lot of people who you've had on here, including yourself, who know a heck of a lot more about fitness and health than I do. But I was born poor and miserable, and I'm now pretty well off, and I'm very happy. And I worked at those, and so I've learned a few things. There are some principles, and so I try to lay them out, but in a timeless manner where you can kind of figure it out yourself. Because at the end of the day, I can't really teach anything. I can only inspire you and maybe give you a few hooks so you can remember things when they happen or put a name to them. So this podcast actually ended up explaining this tweet storm. So there's a tweet storm with like 36, 38 tweets, got very famous, got translated into dozens of languages. And these were principles that I came up with for myself when I was really young, around 13, 14. And I've been carrying them in my head for 30 years. And I've been sort of living them. And over time, I just realized, like, sadly or fortunately, the thing that I got really good at was looking at businesses and figuring out the point of maximum leverage to actually create wealth and capture some of that. And do it in a very long-term kind of way, not the, banker, crash the economy, get bailed out kind of way, but, build businesses and help people and provide value kind of way, especially when applied to modern technology and leverage in this age of infinite leverage that we live in. So the podcast is just explaining each tweet. So these are little 3, 4, 5 minute snippets. I don't like to say the same thing twice. I don't like to explain in detail. I feel like if you have something original and interesting to say, you should say it. Otherwise, it's probably been said better. So that podcast tries to be information dense. It tries to be very concise. It tries to be high impact. It tries to be timeless. And it has all the information. I think you need the principles that if you absorb these and you work hard over 10 years, you'll get what you want. So I've got the one on wealth creation. I'm going to attempt to do one on happiness is a big word, but happiness and inner peace and calm and all that. Because what you want is you don't want to be the guy who succeeds in life while being high-strung, high-stress, and unhappy and leaving a trail of emotional wreckage with you and your loved ones.
Which is more common than not.
Because you got to focus, and
Yes.
it's very hard to be great at everything. You want to be the guy or the gal who gets there calmly, quietly, without struggle. You want to be the person when there's a crisis going on, you want to be the calmest, coolest cucumber in the room who still also figures out the correct answer.